We're live. Yay.
Good afternoon, church. I am not normally in the sanctuary in my t-shirt and jeans, so I wanted to let you know that we just finished the work on preparing our sanctuary for our first in-person worship on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, Karin, why don't you share more with what our crew did today?
Oh, we're so thankful to the people who were able to come help us clear the pews of everything extraneous. We were cleaning since we missed a couple of our Easter cleanings, and we moved pew cushions to help us differentiate between the seats where we're allowing for safe seating, distancing, and where we're not, and that helps kind of mark that. And we had to vacuum, we had to dust, and we had to do all of those things, and we're so grateful to all those people for their help in doing that. In particular, hauling the hymnals, because that wasn't something that I was looking forward to doing.
Yes, that took a few trips.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yep. So we wanted to make sure that we're using the same decision-making tools and strategies for preparing for Sunday morning worship that we've been using throughout the pandemic and before the pandemic. Things like celebrating the vocation of people whom God has called to be scientists and healthcare workers, celebrating the vocation of people who are called to curate worship among us within our congregation, and people who we look to for advice. And so some of these changes, most of these changes are because we're looking to those people to help us make decisions and to help us make those decisions with the best information that we have available to us. So should we talk about a few of those things?
Yeah, so that's why the pew cushions are gone from the seats where folks will be sitting to make the cleanup easier. And so you might want to bring a pillow for yourself.
Yeah.
And what else?
So we want to make sure that we're modeling good masking policies, or that we're using them well for the sake of modeling that for our younger people who are still having to use them because they can't be vaccinated yet. And as a signal that we value the health and safety of our medically vulnerable people for whom masks have become a life-giving tool. So that's part of that.
And we don't necessarily know who the medically vulnerable are among us. And so it's a sign of solidarity to be continued to wear masks so that they don't have to worry and wonder if they see someone without a mask, do they know that that person is vaccinated? We just will all be masked, and that way the most vulnerable among us are given the most assurance that we can give them.
Yeah, and given some dignity so they don't have to explain themselves over and over and so on. I want to take a look at the front of the sanctuary and some of the things that will be a little bit different. Some of you who have seen the live streams earlier have seen some of this already, but I'll go ahead and turn the camera so that we can see this. So one of the big changes here is this lectern. We've not had a lectern here before, but one of the reasons you're seeing it right now is that you can see me in a way that you might not be able to see me if I were up in the pulpit. Pastor's gonna step up there and you'll see what I mean. You can still see him.
Little head.
Little head. And so that's just to help our people who will be joining us for worship online be able to experience this a little bit more clearly. It's also a few steps closer to where the microphone that connects to the laptop is going to be. And that few feet makes a difference in the audio quality as well. So a few other things that we can expect on Sunday morning. The offering plate is in a new place. We're not going to be passing things around, just to keep things simple and so that we're not having to all breathe on and touch all the same surfaces. We're going to be shortening the service a little bit. It'll feel like a pretty normal service of the word as we've been doing them on Zoom, where we're keeping the liturgy nice and tight and concise. We will be limiting singing as well. This is going to feel weird for a while And I want to explain a little bit about why I'm making this particular decision, especially because I know it's not necessarily a popular one. The national organizations that I look to for advice and that I have been looking to for the latest data about singing in groups still recommend shortened rehearsals, a limited number of people singing, making sure that all the singing people have been vaccinated, that sort of thing. And so, at least to start, we're going to start with just having a representative singer, a cantor, to lead the one or two hymns that we'll do on a Sunday morning. And then over time, as we hope that data becomes available, we'll be able to kind of broaden that scope. But for now, singing will be fairly limited to the cantor.
And that means humming too.
And that means humming too, for now, and until we get that data. But we are expecting that data to come soon. And at least that's what colleagues have been telling me. So that's what we're looking for now.
Should we point towards the fireside?
Yeah, this is
So we also simplified, since we won't be able to gather for fellowship over the coffee pot, we've simplified the fireside room as well. So you can see the tables and the chairs are gone, but you're still welcome to use the fireside door as your primary entrance and exit. We'll also be ready for you at the front door as well.
Again, simplification is the word of the day. Just keeping things nice and easy.
So we recognize that some of these decisions that we are making are different from some of the other churches, either in our area or within our denomination. We recognize that churches are all along the spectrum in terms of risk mitigation. There are still congregations that are not yet worshiping in person. There are congregations that have been worshiping in person for a long time. So we can't really compare our congregation to where those other congregations are, because each of us is in a different context. Each of us is responding to different needs specifically. And so this is where our congregation is right now, that this Sunday will be our first time to worship with other people inside our sanctuary. And so we want to make sure that we're starting out well, so that we can adapt as we get more comfortable, as we get more experience, as the science continues to evolve. We will continue to adapt, but we want to start as efficiently as we can to begin with.
Right, and then, as you say, as we get more information and as we learn more, we can start to respond to that information. So you got some more information recently. We were talking about this in staff meeting, that some information for you personally has made a big difference in how we're approaching this.
Right. So one of the differences for our congregation is your pastor lives with cancer. And so that affects the decisions that our whole community has to make in order for me to be able to be in the space with you. So I just had my 6-month checkup. And for those of you that don't know or don't remember, I have a non-aggressive lymphoma. So that means that at this point, I haven't had to have any treatment. And as long as that cancer is in sort of a dormant phase, no treatment is necessary. I have 6-month evaluations where they check my blood work. And so I just had that this week. And so my doctor did confirm that even though I don't need treatment, I do have lesions in my lungs because of the lymphoma. And so with lymphoma being a blood cancer and with there being a presence in my lungs, that I am at greater risk should any kind of virus or any kind of lung disease happen to me. And that includes, even though I'm vaccinated, there are still effects that a person can have if they contract COVID, even with the vaccine. So it keeps us from being hospitalized, or it keeps us from dying from COVID, except this pre-existing condition makes me more vulnerable. So I still am not going maskless in public. I'm still not eating in restaurants. This will be the biggest gathering of people that I will engage with. And so that's a factor for us as well.
Yeah, not something that a lot of communities have to consider, their pastor having cancer. And also, we want to be mindful of those families whose kids can't be vaccinated yet, and want to be mindful that if we start with guidelines that are tight and succinct, we can always find ways to relax them. But if we start relaxed, it would be a lot harder to kind of pull back from that. So.
And one of the things you said earlier, I think, is worth repeating as well, that our guidelines have always, through this, been guided by love of God, love of self, love of community, and love of neighbors, that we want to do everything that is in our control to make sure that we are not spreading a virus in the ways that we can prevent that.
Yeah, to mitigate the risk where we know we can mitigate it.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful. We have lots of conversations and have over the last 16 months with the folks on staff and worship committee and the COVID response team and the council, and having all of these minds helping us discern next steps has been helpful and fruitful and edifying and important. Yeah. And I'm really grateful for the partnership that we've had as a congregation and the leadership of the congregation helping us discern some of these really difficult things. Yeah.
So thank you to all of you who've been part of those groups and committees. Thanks again to the folks who are able to come today. And thank you to you for your attention to this video and for your continued prayer for our mission and ministry, which includes our worshiping life.
Amen.